the janitor everyone ignored, until the principal discovered who he really was. It was a cold Monday morning in a small town outside Chicago. The kind of morning where the sky looked pale gray, and everyone walked a little faster just to escape the wind. At Lincoln Middle School, students rushed through the front doors laughing, texting, barely noticing the old man mopping the hallway near the lockers. His name was Walter Hayes. Most people just called him the janitor. Walter was in his late 60s, thin frame, silver hair, worn-out work boots that had seen better days. He moved slowly, carefully, like someone who carried more than just a mop and bucket. Students rarely looked at him. Teachers nodded politely, and life moved on. But what no one knew was that Walter had once owned the largest construction company in the state of Illinois. 20 years ago, Hayes Construction had built schools, hospitals, and community centers across the Midwest. Walter was respected, wealthy, powerful, until the recession hit. One bad investment, one trusted partner who betrayed him, one lawsuit that took everything. Within 2 years, Walter lost his company, his home, and nearly his spirit. His wife passed away shortly after from illness. His only son moved across the country to Los Angeles for work. They barely spoke, and so Walter started over, not as a businessman, but as a janitor. At first, people whispered, "Didn't he used to be someone important? Guess he couldn't handle success." Sad, huh? Walter never corrected them. He just worked. Every day he arrived before sunrise. He cleaned classrooms. He fixed broken lockers. He stayed late to repair the gym lights so the kids could play basketball after school. And he listened. He listened when students cried in the hallway. He listened when teachers felt overwhelmed. He listened when a shy 7th grader named Marcus sat alone at lunch because he couldn't afford new shoes and got bullied for wearing the same pair every day. Walter noticed. One afternoon, Marcus stayed behind after school, staring at a college brochure pinned to the guidance counselor's board. "You thinking about the future?" Walter asked gently. Marcus shrugged. "People like me don't go to college." Walter leaned on his mop. "People like you build the future," he said softly. The next morning, something unexpected happened. The school principal, Mrs. Carter, called Walter into her office. She looked different, nervous, respectful. "Mr. Hayes," she began carefully, "is it true you used to own Hayes Construction?" Walter paused. "It was a long time ago." Mrs. Carter slid a folder across the desk. Inside were old newspaper clippings, photos of ribbon-cutting ceremonies, articles about the schools he built, including Lincoln Middle School. "You built this school," she whispered. Walter nodded slowly. Mrs. Carter's eyes filled with emotion. "We've been trying to secure funding for renovations for 2 years. The gym roof leaks. The science lab equipment is outdated. We're on the brink of closing programs." Walter looked around the office, at the peeling paint, the aging furniture. This place wasn't just a workplace. It was part of his legacy. That evening, Walter made a phone call he hadn't made in years, to his son in Los Angeles. They talked for over an hour. For the first time in a long time, they didn't argue. 3 weeks later, a surprise announcement echoed through the school intercom. Lincoln Middle School had received a major anonymous donation, enough to renovate the gym, upgrade the labs, start a scholarship fund for underprivileged students. And one scholarship had a special name, the Marcus Future Builders Grant. When Marcus found out he was the first recipient, he broke down in tears. "Why would someone do this for me?" he asked. Walter simply smiled. "Because someone once believed in me." At the official ceremony, the principal revealed the donor's identity. The entire auditorium fell silent. Students turned. Teachers gasped. Parents stood in shock. The janitor they had walked past every day had built the very foundation beneath their feet. Walter stepped up to the microphone. "I lost everything once," he said calmly. "But losing money taught me something valuable. Success isn't what you build. It's who you lift while you're building it." The crowd stood in a long, emotional ovation. even Marcus, even the teachers who had barely noticed him. And in that moment, Walter wasn't just the janitor. He wasn't just the former CEO. He was something far greater. He was proof that dignity doesn't disappear with a job title, that kindness doesn't require wealth, and that sometimes the quietest people in the room carry the strongest stories. Months later, the school hallways looked brighter. The gym roof no longer leaked. Marcus proudly wore a new pair of sneakers, but he still sat with Walter sometimes after school, talking about engineering dreams. And every morning, as the sun rose over the quiet streets of Illinois, Walter still pushed his mop down the hallway. Not because he had to, but because he chose to. Because this time, he wasn't building buildings. He was building people. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, have you ever underestimated someone, only to discover their true strength later?